from one end of the job to the other. And I actually had something happen to me back last August, which I will share with you after the video. First, I will turn up the volume. It should be good. There we go. So that could be your quiz for Karen. Ask them what happened to Karen. Troy's too busy playing Call of Duty right now.
It's that time of year again. As spring evolves into summer, the temperatures outside are beginning to soar. And while some parts of the nation will experience warmer weather sooner than others, ultimately, we all will have to deal with the heat. As hot conditions intensify and we continue to perform our regular job duties, the potential for heat-related illness also rises. Our bodies naturally attempt to maintain a constant internal temperature. When exposed to hot conditions, excess body heat is expelled when the amount of blood circulating to the skin is increased, allowing cooling to occur. As this heat exits your body, it may cause your skin to appear flushed. If the increased blood flow alone cannot cool the body, your sweat glands release perspiration onto the skin. As this perspiration evaporates from the skin, heat is removed, cooling the body and preserving its temperature. The body can only maintain its internal temperature if this process functions properly. If the process is interrupted or cannot regulate the temperature effectively for any reason, the symptoms of heat stress will begin to appear. Let's review some specific heat-related illnesses, starting with heat rash. Heat rash, sometimes called prickly heat, can occur when perspiration stays on the skin so long that the sweat glands become clogged. The rash is accompanied by a hot, prickly sensation. It also reduces our tolerance to heat by limiting our ability to sweat. To avoid contracting heat rash, take periodic breaks in cool areas to allow sweat to evaporate and your body to cool off. To treat heat rash, first allow the affected area to air dry, then gently clean with a mild non-deodorant soap. Rinse and pat dry thoroughly with a cotton towel. Avoid rubbing or irritating the skin. Heat cramps often occur after extended periods of heat exposure, combined with very heavy sweating. These cramps are painful muscle spasms of the abdomen, arms, and calves that result from extreme losses of water, salt, and other minerals. Water alone will not replenish the salt and minerals needed to prevent heat cramps. When working in hot environments with prolonged, profuse sweating, drink sports drinks or other fluids specially made to provide salt and minerals. Another heat-related illness with which you should be familiar is heat syncope. Heat syncope occurs when enough blood is directed to the skin to cool the body that it results in a lack of blood flow to the brain. This reduces or halts its function, causing fainting or severe dizziness. Heat syncope often occurs when a person must stand for long periods of time, or rises suddenly from a sitting or lying position during hot conditions. In addition to fainting and dizziness, symptoms of heat syncope can include headache, increased pulse rate, nausea, fatigue, dry mouth, and vomiting.
I don't feel so good.
If you or a coworker experiences these symptoms, it is imperative that you take action as soon as possible. Heat syncope can lead to the much more serious condition of heat stroke if ignored. Loosen the victim's clothing and have him lie down in a cool place and slightly elevate his feet for about 15 minutes. If possible, fan the victim or apply a cool compress to his forehead.
You just got overheat. In the sun.
After the victim regains his composure, have him slowly drink small quantities of water, clear juice, or a sports beverage approximately every 5 minutes. Up to this point, we've discussed several serious heat-related illnesses, but these conditions are rarely fatal. The two most severe illnesses, Heat exhaustion and heat stroke, however, can be very deadly, especially if you don't respond to their symptoms promptly. Heat exhaustion is usually brought on by intense physical exertion in hot conditions. In such environments, profuse sweating causes dehydration and the loss of salt and other minerals. Besides intense sweating, victims of heat exhaustion often experience blurred vision and rapid breathing. Their skin may be moist and cool to the touch, and they usually have a weak pulse. The judgment of a victim of heat exhaustion can also become clouded, causing them to insist they are okay. If you discover a coworker in this condition, medical attention must be sought immediately. Get the victim to a cool area. Try to cool the victim by soaking with water or sponging with a cool, damp cloth. It is also helpful to create airflow over the victim by fanning until help arrives. And have him take sips of water. About 8 ounces of water should be consumed approximately every 15 minutes. Keep in mind that heat exhaustion can kill. Unless the victim's internal temperature is brought under control, he or she will die. You must take immediate action when you or a coworker exhibit the symptoms of heat exhaustion. Heat stroke can also be fatal and have slightly different symptoms. The victims of heat stroke have hot, dry skin that may be spotted or red. Heat stroke victims may not appear to be sweating.
Hurry up, man. You're not even breaking a sweat. Come on. I thought you could do that.
This is because their internal cooling processes have completely shut down. Heat stroke victims have an internal body temperature at near fatal levels. And with no working mechanism for cooling, their life is in immediate danger.
Come on, dude. Are you okay?
A heat stroke victim may be delirious or go into convulsions when their body temperatures elevate to levels the body cannot tolerate.
Hey, somebody help!
Hey, what's going on here?
I
What's
think he's got heat stroke or something.
You're gonna need to remove his clothes. I'll run and get some help.
All right, dude. Hold on 1 second.
First aid must be administered immediately to prevent brain damage or death. Have someone call for emergency help, then remove any of the victim's unnecessary clothing and lay him on his side so the skin will be exposed to as much air as possible.
Hey, Donovan, bring the hose over here. We need to wet this guy down.
Then, cool the person's entire body by sponging or spraying with cool water.
Hey, man, come on with that water.
Hey, I told her once.
If possible, apply ice packs to the groin, neck, and armpits where large blood vessels lie close to the skin surface. This helps cool the blood, which in turn helps cool the body. Create airflow over the victim by fanning the person, which will also help lower their body temperature. If your job requires you to work in hot conditions on a regular basis, the first step in preventing heat stress is acclimation. Acclimation is simply having your body adjust to the heat by gradually increasing exposure. It generally takes about 5 to 7 days of exposure to become acclimated, but the time may be shorter or longer depending on the individual. If you experience any heat stress symptoms or other health problems during the acclimation process, be sure to notify your supervisor. Before work activity begins, prehydrate your body by drinking about 16 ounces of fluid. Be aware that you can sweat out as much as a quart of water per hour. You should try to drink in as much liquid as you lose in hot conditions. In extreme temperatures, your company will provide drinking stations close to work areas. Cool-down areas will also be designated, along with a schedule of rest breaks dictated by the conditions. No matter how hot it is, always wear the appropriate personal protective equipment for your job. If you don't wear it, it can't protect you. Your organization may have its own specific precautions and procedures for preventing heat-related ailments, and may include scheduling hot jobs for the cooler parts of the day, or reducing the duration of exposure for employees working in hot conditions. Many organizations establish a work schedule with mandatory rest periods and water breaks when certain temperature and humidity conditions exist. Working in the heat can sometimes be difficult and uncomfortable, but by using the knowledge you've learned today, you can perform your job safely without the health risk posed by high temperatures. So go out and have a great day, and a safe day.
Thank you. Do it. So hydration is very, very important, and I'll tell you why. Back in August, like I was saying, I was driving over to Advanced Auto Parts to get my wife a battery, and I noticed there was some uncomfortability with the plumbing downstairs. So I was thinking to myself, this is odd. Anyways, I get the battery, I get back home, and I do my business, and my urine is basically like tea colored. It looks like dark, sweet tea. I'm thinking, uh-oh, well, I have no idea what's going on here. So, honey, it's time to go. Went to the emergency room. They hooked me up to an IV. They did a CAT scan on me, and they gave me some liquid ibuprofen just to help with the uncomfortability. Turns out that I was passing a kidney stone. The kidney stone was developed from not properly hydrating myself. And I was drinking sweet drinks all throughout the day. I was drinking Gatorade and I drink Sprite, but I wasn't drinking enough water. And you have to have a balance between the two, because you don't want to just drink water, because just simply water will not replenish the salts and the minerals that you lose whenever you're sweating. But at the same time, you don't want to just sit there and drink on Gatorade or Mountain Dew or Sprite or whatever, because all the sugar's in there. If you end up sweating all that stuff out, all that stuff is just trapped in your body and it starts to crystallize. So anyways, after my whole ordeal at the emergency room, because I just wasn't drinking enough water, it's over $8,000 just for them to put me through a CAT scan or MRI and an IV and liquid ibuprofen. Just for those things, I was in there for probably about 3 hours, and it was over $8,000. And that was covered by insurance. Thankfully, I have insurance. Out of pocket, I ended up paying $250 for the hospital. I ended up paying $350 for the physician, and $100 for the girl that pushed the button, which ran me through the machine. And that's $700 out of pocket right there, all because I wasn't drinking enough water.
It's $5 for a case of water.
$5.
Ain't that a bit?
I'm telling you. I could have used that $700 for something else. I mean, sky's the limit. But I just got complacent. I'm a sweaty guy too. When I'm out there, I sweat. And some people, they sweat more than others. So if you're a sweaty guy and you're constantly drenched, you need to rehydrate yourself often. Because, not one person is equal to another. Everybody's different. So this guy may have to drink more, this guy may not. So you need to consider that. Also, darn it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, also another thing. Whenever you're suffering from a heat-related illness, this happened a while back too. This happened on my daughter's 3rd birthday. We had some Disney princesses come over to the house, and they did face paints, they did all that good stuff. One of them, they had Ariel, they had Princess Anna, and anybody who's got kids know who these are. And they had Belle. Anyways, well, Ariel wasn't feeling so good. She was actually suffering from heat syncope. She wasn't hydrated. She was getting woozy. She ended up throwing up in the bathroom. Dad took her in the bedroom, put her feet up. And what's so ironic is that she was the most skimpily clad out of all of them.
She belonged in the water.
Yeah, that's it. She needed to go back to the ocean, back to the sea is what it was. But, her judgment became clouded. We said, hey, listen, you know what? Just chill out for a while. Don't worry about the kids. You know what? You've already done a great job, because it was towards the end of the party anyway. She's like, no, I got it. I'll be okay. She's sitting there for like 10 minutes, gets up, and then the party's basically over. She jumps into her car and starts taking off, but without first taking out my dad's mailbox and ripping the bumper off of her car. So sometimes you get to a point where, all right, you're starting to feel woozy, you're starting to feel like, oh man, I'm suffering from heat stress, but I'm just gonna keep going. I'll be okay. Not necessarily. She tore off the bumper and messed up my dad's mailbox. She thought she was okay. What if that's you guys using a piece of equipment? What if it's you using a cut saw and cutting concrete? Especially, if you guys got to bend over and you're already suffering from heat syncope or a heat-related illness, you bend over, you cut that, and then you get up and, oh man, I'm all lightheaded. With the saw in hand, and then you go down, and then it cuts your leg off or cuts somebody else or does something else. So you need to take this stuff seriously. Take it to heart, hydrate yourselves, and also keep an eye on one another. Everybody works with each other. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows each other's behavioral patterns and whatnot. So if you see one guy or another look like he's acting a little silly or, just keep an eye on each other. Stay hydrated, take periodic breaks. If you see anybody go down, move them to shade, get them cooled off as quick as possible. Like they said, you can take bottled water or, cold bottled drinks, put them underneath the armpits, put them on the neck. That'll cool them down quick. It doesn't necessarily have to be iced. And at the same time, too, you don't want to dump a bucket or a cooler full of ice water on somebody because it's throwing them a shock, give them a heart attack. So, stay hydrated, be safe, stay cool. Any questions? All right. Thank you for your time. Dan, you want to say anything?